Whenever I listen to the narrative of the black females of the so called swirling movement, they're often saying that the reason why they have to explore their dating options is because there is a shortage of good black men, or that the so called good black man is some sort of unicorn. So they have to go out and explore their dating options because there are no good black men out here. And when I look at that argument, I have to say to myself, what does this black female bring to the table to those white men or those non black men? Because they're sitting there saying that there are no good black men. However, they were the individuals who, of the last generation, raised the generation of so called no good black men. And when they sit there and they make that statement to white men and non black men, they are pretty much telling on themselves because they're telling this white man or this non black man who they truly are as it relates to their character. Now, any objective white or non black man is going to ask himself a question after hearing her make this statement. Now, she says that there are no good black men in her community, and when we look at that statement again, we say to ourselves, who was their first teacher of culture? And that was the black woman. Moreover, you also look at it and say to yourself, who pretty much said that she could raise a boy to become a man when she supported the white feminist movement? That's right, it was the black female who pretty much said that she could raise this single boy to be a man as a single mother. And so the end result of that whole process is her sons becoming these dysfunctional males that she says are no good black men. So the no good black men are the fruits of her labor. So when she goes out here and says she wants to leave the black community and explore her dating options, what options does she bring to the table for those white and those non black men, such as Hispanic men, Asian men, and Arab men, that show her that she is an asset to those men of those races? When you look at that whole argument they're presenting from that perspective objectively, you say to yourself, this female pretty much brings nothing to the table that shows that she can be a helpmeet and a support in helping to build a community or build a family for those men. So when those men ask that question to themselves, they really look at this black female and say to themselves, you bring nothing to the table to me. So you're sitting here talking about how you want to explore dating options with me and marriage options with me, but you don't have any of the core values that a man needs towards doing the things that men do, such as building a business, building a community, building an enterprise, or laying the foundation for teaching a functional culture to a family. So that's where your black female's swirling argument pretty much falls apart, because that white man, that Arab man, that Hispanic man, and that Asian man can just take one look at that black female's community and see that she is not a viable dating partner or a viable marriage partner based on the fruits of her community. And when we look at the fruits of her community, which is a crumbling community founded on a feminist matriarchy, we see a community where there are no black owned businesses, the children are failing in school, there is high unemployment, there is high crime, there is high drug use, and there is nothing but urban moral decay. So, what does this female bring to the table for those guys? Those guys look at that female and say, if I bring this female to my community, what's going to happen is I'm not going to be able to build anything with this female, one, because she believes that she can pretty much lead my community and will not submit to my leadership, and two, she pretty much has shown me that she cannot take care of the business of managing a community or a family, because she will pretty much try to undermine your authority or try to overwhelm you with information that prevents you from being able to be the leader and authority figure that the male is supposed to be. So these guys are looking at her and saying, you bring nothing to the table. You don't want to be a wife. You don't want to be a mother. You don't want to help me build anything. And I look at the results of your community, which is a complete and total shambles. And why would I consider you for dating or marriage? Because you bring nothing to the table of value in terms of morals or values. Because when we look at the old African proverb, it clearly says that a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women. And when black women embraced white feminism, they pretty much lowered their moral position to a lower level, and they lowered their community to a lower standard. So, why would a white male or a Hispanic male or an Asian male or an Arab male who pretty much lives a higher quality of life want to get involved with a woman who pretty much lives with a lower moral position, a lower standard, and has accepted a lower standard of life as a norm? The only guys who want to pretty much even try to even involve themselves with this type of female with a low standard, a low moral position, and low values are these beta white males, these beta Arab males, and these beta Hispanic males, and these beta Asian males. And they're doing this because they're looking for the cream of the crop top black women who pretty much are a totally different group than the group that the swirlers say that they are from. Now, many of the swirlers will sit there and they'll try to say that because they have college degrees and good jobs, that they are an asset to a white or a non-black man. Unfortunately, these things do not matter to any man of any race. Whenever a man is looking for a partner to be a helpmeet and a support to him in a relationship or a marriage, he is looking for a woman's values and her moral position to be a strong one, because that's the type of woman who will help him build a business, build a community, and build a family. Because when a woman has a high moral position, she is going to teach a culture to his children, and she's going to maintain a moral standard for his community. And these things are important to any man of any race. Unfortunately, black men over the last two generations have not learned about standards because the men have been removed from their community through white liberal policies and the hostile attitude of many of these black women who have taken on the surrogate father of the United States government and its liberal welfare state. But when you listen to the swirlers, they're thinking that they have these dating options when in actuality they have shown those men who are white, Arab, Indian, or Hispanic that that they as females bring nothing to their table outside of that nuclear waste between their legs, and that's nothing to bring to the table at all because a vagina is a standard body part on any one female. So that's not anything that makes a woman a dating option. Neither is a college degree, neither is a good job, because those are things that men already have. What a man is looking for is something that he doesn't have, and he's not looking for a woman to be a sex partner. He's looking for a woman who is going to be able to help him build his family, his community, and maintain a standard of living. And when he looks at this black female, and he looks at the neighborhoods and communities that are pretty much in shambles thanks to that black feminist matriarchy controlled by that welfare state, which is pretty much where there are no businesses, there is no infrastructure, the kids aren't interested in education, the entire community is a complete wreck. He's not seeing anybody who he would see as a viable option for a relationship. So when these swirlers sit here and talk about they are exploring their dating options, they pretty much are talking a lot of hot air because they really don't have any options. What they are trying to do in many cases is just make the black men in their community jealous. Unfortunately, many of the black men in those communities are just too dumb or they're just too simpish to see that this female is just using this as a ploy to try to get him jealous, to try to get him upset, and try to get him emotional, when in actuality, all this female is trying to do is, again, is just get him upset enough so he'll emotionally react to her instead of responding by saying to himself, this female is pretty much, not doing anything of value to get upset about. All she wants to do is get me all riled up, get me all emotional, and make me think that she has a higher value than the actual low value she has pretty much placed herself in by her numerous bad decisions and participating in her numerous irresponsible, reckless, and egregious behaviors. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.